do you ever watch a debate, presidential debate, and you say, man, I'd love to be on the stage debating somebody? Do you ever itch for it or no?
Sometimes, yeah. I love, yeah, sometimes. Let me ask why you're asking the question.
I'm asking a question because I watch you, and we've spent I don't know how many times we've done this. So this is what we're on our 12th hour, right, of doing podcasts, and we've only done 3. And first 2, each of them was 5 hours. We have the conversations together, and I watch you make your arguments, make your case, right? To think how your father shaped you and Tristan's mindset. If I have an impression of your father was like, he was a guy that would teach you sequencing and to do to the enemy what he or she is trying to do to you. Absolutely. Okay? Mentally, right? I mean, and by the way, part of it is, what you have to do when you're raising strong kids. You have to do it because, especially in today's society, it's a very tough society. Was a part of you wanting to run for prime minister in UK a publicity stunt? Were you sick of it, or were you itching to make the place better?
I think one of the things my father instilled in me, and it came from his teachings and it came from lots of different lessons, but especially it came from chess, is because chess is ruthless. There's a lot of people, especially men, who I'm surprised by this fact, but I would argue it's the truth, who believe their enemies are going to have pity or mercy. There's a lot of men who you'd be surprised believe that pity is going to appear or mercy is going to appear somewhere. And if you change your mindset and change your framing to understand that your enemies are never going to have mercy on you, they're never going to see you as a human, they're never going to feel sorry for you ever, then the only end result to that is action. And the only action is to fight back. There's a whole lot of men who go, well, if I'm just quiet, or if I just behave, or if I'm just good in front of the police, or if I'm just nice to the judge, they'll let me off. No, they won't. Your enemies are out here to mercilessly crush you. They don't care about what happens to you. They do not feel responsible for the consequences. They do not have empathy for you. They're not interested in any of that. Look what the liberals tried to do to the conservatives when they had power. The biggest problem with conservatives is we don't do that, right? We're going to allow our enemies to just walk around and get away with everything, right? But when they're in power, they crush mercilessly. That comes from chess. When you're getting crushed in a chess position, praying that he's nice to you in a tournament is insane. It's not going to happen. When you're in the cage and you're fighting and you're on the bottom and he's grounding and pounding you, you can't sit there and go, maybe he'll feel sorry for me. None of this is real. None of this is real. So when I look at the UK, I look how insane it is. I look how they're trying to destroy my life. I look at how they're wrecking the country. I look at how everything's a complete mess. I don't sit there and expect these people to one day wake up empathetic. I don't expect them to one day wake up and get a brain, or wake up one day and realize what they're doing wrong. I see them as violent oppressors who have no intention to do anything other than instill full communism amongst the entire population. So there's only one choice. You either let them do it or you fight back. What are you going to do? You either let them get away with it or you resist them. So my intention to become UK Prime Minister is absolutely 100% legitimate. I want to save the country I grew up in, because if I don't do it, they're going to succeed. There's only ever been a good man against a bad man. If you're going to let the bad men run rampant, they're going to finally conquer. So I am absolutely serious about saving the United Kingdom if I can. I'm going to do my absolute best. That's why they want to put me in jail. They know I'm a threat to them politically. They know that. That's why they want to lock me up for my tweets.
What do you think happened to UK?
I can tell you what happened to the UK. I have a lot of theories. Firstly, I would argue that the royal family was collapsed by therapy and psychiatry. This is a theory I've come up with completely out of nowhere.
Literally, like you believe this?
When I got the 17%, I'm just that guy. I just know things.
Okay.
Right? I just know things. I would argue that the royal family, which was the backbone of the United Kingdom, was being held together by the Queen. When the Queen died, I said to Tristan, this is the end of England. Because the Queen was the last respectable member of the royal family. I like Kate and Will. I like them. But I would argue that when Diana died, the boys were put through endless therapy and psychotherapy and all of this garbage. And I think it is one of the largest and most dangerous industries in the world today. It's as dangerous as pharmaceuticals. Making full-grown men sit down and cry and talk about how hard their life is the worst thing you can do with full-grown men. I really would argue. I would argue it's not a real science. I would argue it's subjective garbage. And I would argue there's nothing that will destroy your mind faster than therapy. I think the entire royal family was completely hijacked by these therapists and these psychoanalysts that turned everything weird. That's why Meghan and what's his name? The one who married Meghan. I can't remember his name. Harry's weird with Meghan. She bosses him around. It's all just weird.
Harry is not the top G.
Yeah, well, exactly. So I think all of that's down to psychiatry. We could talk about why I have my theories on psychiatry a little bit after. So that's the royal family. As for the political class, the Europeans currently are stuck in a very difficult scenario because I really don't see how they currently align with the United States government on nearly anything. They are full communist. They're full femme-centric. It's a matriarchy. It is collapsing in real time economically. The men which reside inside of Europe don't seem to have enough in them to resist this enslavement and this population replacement, which is another huge thing we have to talk about in Europe. Europe's being completely destroyed, and there's no masculinity to resist it, it seems. If you destroy masculinity inside of a society, the society is ripe for conquest. And the average man in Europe simply is not man enough to get other men together, to find other men, to resist. But let's talk about this. This is an important point. I'm going to take my glasses off for this because it's extremely important. Europe has destroyed free speech. Why does this matter? I'll tell you why this matters. If you're a billionaire or if you're in charge, you can lie. So if you're in charge of things, you can stand up in front of the cameras and say, I'm going to do X. And then behind the scenes, you can do Y. You're allowed to lie because you have actual power. Whereas if you are not powerful, your only power is in numbers, so you can't lie because you need to find other people who align with you and think like you do so that you can win in large numbers. So you have to be able to say what you think and say what you feel to find the other members of your army so you can all stand up and get in a crowd and say enough is enough. So the reason they silence free speech in Europe so heavily is so that you never find the other people who think like you. That's the reason they shut down social media so hard. So you can't stand up and say, this is garbage. Because if you do, you go to jail. So even if you think it, you don't say it. And as an unimportant man, you can't lie. You can't tweet, this is not garbage, and still be effective. Whereas a billionaire can lie and still be effective. The common man needs speech and needs truth to find an army that allows him to resist oppression. And that is why Europe is gone psycho, Stalin, full Stasi on speech. That's what they're afraid of. Because if you could tell the truth in England on social media for a week, there'd be a revolution. And they know that. That's why they want me in jail. That's why they don't let anyone tell the truth. They know that. Keir Starmer himself knows that. That's why they've done what they've done. So the UK has a lack of masculinity. All of Europe does. You add in free speech problems. You add in the fact that you can't find other men to stand beside you at war. You have the odd warrior who pops his head up and gets his head chopped clean off. That's the problem with Europe.
Yeah, he came the other day. I think it was a week and a half ago.
Look at his face. That's the face of evil. Keir, when you lock me up in Belmarsh, which I know you're going to do, that's fine. That is the face of evil, sir. Look at that. That is incompetence incarnate. Look, that's not a leader. England was the greatest country in the world. I watched. It brought tears to my eyes. I watched the Battle of Cairo. I watched Nelson fight the French fleet. A YouTube video at the Battle of Cairo. I even tweeted it in full. The heroism showed by the Brits only 200 years ago. These were the best men on the planet. Tiny island with the largest empire in history. I was in America till I was 8, but I spent my teenage years in the UK. I feel very British. The British were the hardest, strongest, most resilient people on the planet. When the British were coming, only the Americans seemed to have beat them. You were scared when the British were coming. We sailed all around the world. Opioid wars in China, Battle of Cairo, Waterloo, you name it. We beat Napoleon. We did. The Brits. And now look, soy face is locking us up for having an opinion. And we're sitting there on our asses, afraid to say anything. This exact clip will be played in front of a judge when they lock me up. But it has to be said, because that is not the leader of the United Kingdom. That is not the leader the United Kingdom deserves. UK is an even more dire scenario than the United States. We need Trump or someone Trump-esque. And Nigel Farage isn't up to the task. He's not strong enough. It's me or I don't know who else. But UK is in a mess. We need someone of Trump's level to fix it. Because this guy, Keir, is doing nothing but run it into the ground. And it really, truly breaks my heart because the UK was the greatest country on earth. And that's why I want to become the prime minister, to restore it to its former glory. Britain and the history of Britain and the amazing things it's achieved The fact that London is a country where you can't even wear a watch anymore is not just disgraceful, it's absolutely disgusting. People should face treason charges for what they've done.
Okay, so
treason.
Nowadays, more than ever, the brand you wear reflects and represents who you are. So for us, if you wear a Future Looks Bright hat or a Valuetainment gear, you're telling the world, I'm optimistic. I'm excited about what's going to be happening, but you're a free thinker. You question things. You like debate. And by the way, last year, 120,000 people got a piece of Future Looks Bright gear with Valuetainment. We have so many new things. The cufflinks are here. New Future Looks Bright. This is my favorite, the green one. Just yesterday, somebody placed an order for 100 of these. If you watch the PBD podcast, you got a bunch to choose from. White ones, black ones. If you smoke cigars and you come to our cigar lounge, we have this high quality lighter cutter and a holder for the cigars. We got sweaters with the Valuetainment logo on it. We got mugs. We got a bunch of different things. But if you believe the future looks bright, if you follow our content and what we represent with Valuetainment, with PBD Podcast, go to vtmerch.com. And by the way, if you order right now, there's going to be a special VT gift inside just for you. So again, go to vtmerch.com, place your order, tell the world that you believe the future looks bright. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.